Welcome back to Bunny Banter, first and only podcast for everything Killer Bunnies. I'm host Matt, here with co-host Mikey.
Hello.
And as a guest today, we have Chris.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm a mistake.
No!
I don't want to be here.
Chris is on a losing streak. He's sad. What are we talking about today, Mikey?
Today, we are talking about what everyone's been waiting for. Cake batter.
Almond.
Oh, not almond crisp. Cake batter. It's here. No, we're about a month away from release of cake batter, so that's very exciting. All the cards are officially public information, slowly being revealed in the Discord and being revealed here. So that's exciting. We're talking about cake batter. Specifically today, and why we have Chris, because Chris likes spicy cards, right? Chris likes his.
I used to.
Chris used to like spicy cards.
Matthew, did you know? That all I'm missing is cake batter?
Yes, it's true that all we're missing is cake batter. Yes, Chris used to like spicy cards, but the cards we're going to be looking at today, there's 4 of them that are extra spicy, and we'll see what our thoughts are. They're kind of scary. I don't know. But before we do that, we're going to look at a few less relevant things. First off, I'm showing it on the screen now for those on the YouTube. We have a new money. Dough. Fits thematically with cake batter quite well. I'm not sure if there's much you want to say about this. I like the artwork. That's pretty cool.
I noticed how the colors and everything change. The colors of the bowls and the flour bag, everything changes depending on.
I hadn't even noticed. Yes, that makes sense now. I hadn't looked at it close enough. I'm like, yeah, I like the artwork. I didn't even look at that close. I just like it.
You like it because it is there.
It's there. I don't actually pay attention to details. I just look at it and be like, hey, that's nice artwork. One thing you'll notice, and Jeff actually commented on this to me in a call the other day, is that's not very much money in this expansion. We only have 1 of each. 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 5, 1, 10. That's relevantly less than what we would have expected in the past. And that's kind
of not a lot of dough.
That's not a lot of dough. And well, are we short because of Corona or something, or what's going on? It's because of the metals exchange existing that Jeff thinks that, and probably accurately, there's less need for money in the deck seats. You could just generate money with the metals exchange. So that's why that is. If anyone was wondering, I don't think anyone was wondering that, but now that I pointed it out, everyone will notice.
I was wondering.
Chris was wondering. Apparently, I don't believe it.
I think it was a missed opportunity to use half dough, though.
Half dough?
I'm still waiting for a second half card so we can complete the half.
Just use a half price coupon.
That's a waste.
Waste. Okay. Well, I suppose so. Okay. Anyway, it's a second less relevant but more relevant thing that we get to talk about today are the 10 new carrots released as promo cards in this set. Everyone is going to get these 10 carrots with their release of cake batter. They are the final remaining 10 lettered carrots, which would have originally been, and perhaps still will be, printed in the Killer Bunnies expansion, if that ever gets released. Contact Dollar Pro today. So I don't know, be like, hey, we want the Killer Bunnies second adventure, but we have these 10 carrots. I'm a big fan of these. Does everyone want to go through and say what their favorite carrot is? Who's your favorite carrot, Mikey, of the new ones?
My favorite carrot is Carrot Y Yvette, because it's a reference to my favorite movie, Clue.
How about you, Chris?
I was going to also say that. I was going to say it because it has 4 straight up cans in the picture. But my real true favorite is Zurg, of course, because he needs to destroy Buzz Lightyear.
Well, I'm going to choose Vincent, Carrot V, as my favorite because he has a unique background. And Vincent stands for victory. Haha!
Do you think we're gonna get 4
Ye-
more uses of straight up with the Yvette?
I don't think so.
Mm. It's kind of a flow. It's drawn like flow is, with the platter. I'm wondering if there's gonna be there might be a bits thing that happens.
I'll take your word for it.
I see the platter it's the platter. And any carrot with a platter. Maybe that's it.
Any carrot with a platter. Yeah, it's definitely not thematically always the fourth carrot.
Oh.
Oh, except for Kinder. Kinder doesn't get a flow equivalent because Kinder doesn't have real feeds. They just have weak feeds. Feed the bunny one. Yes, I will flow that. That's a missed opportunity. There should have been. Who's carrot for in Kinder? That'd be Dave. Well, I suppose Dave doesn't make much sense, does it? But there should have been a flow equivalent in Kinder that had a mini Danish. Missed opportunity,
Oh.
Jeff.
Well, Light's missing one too.
Well, Light doesn't count. It's not canon.
Oh.
Okay. Light doesn't even have feeds. Okay. Anyways, those are the two irrelevant topics today. Now we get into the spicy cards. One of these has been revealed on the Discord so far as of recording this, and I'm scared of it. Honestly, it's not the card I'm most scared about. I'm scared of it. The first card we have here is Dice Station 0, a non-aggressive run card. It reads, may be used once by a player to set the buying and selling price for all metal to 0.
Ha
And they
ha!
stay that way until the metal dice roll a metal dice triple. All 3 metal dice have to roll the same number, and until that point, metals are going to be absolutely worthless. What do you think about that card, Mikey?
Well, when I first read it and was listening, I thought, that's not horrible. And for people who don't play metals, I mean, there's an intermediary period between when you're just a beginner and when you've played for a while, when you're experienced. There's that intermediary period, and I don't even know if intermediary is a word, but anyway, there's this period where you're just starting to learn things, so you kind of tend to avoid things like metals. For those people, that's fine. It really doesn't affect you. But once you become more experienced and you realize the value of metals, and like Jeff was talking about with the reasoning for putting in less uh, dough into this was because people generate metals so much, this becomes a problem. And the fact that it's not doesn't go to 0 for a 1 round or 2 rounds, but until somebody rolls a triplet, um, that's not fun for people who rely on the metals for their income.
Yes, it's quite scary. I know since the release of Caramel Swirl with the metal coins, our group has definitely been in a metals meta, where metals are always the thing you buy first. And this card is just like, hey, you know those metals that you're relying on so much and trying to generate money with? Sorry, they're worthless now. Feels bad. They might not even become worth something for the rest of the game because a metal dice triple, that's was that 1 in 36 every time the dice are rolled? And how often are the dice going to be rolled? Well, not everyone's going to be rolling them. Only the person who actually has the metals is going to be, so might not happen.
Ooh, can you buy the metals at 0? Can you
Yes.
just take them?
Yes.
Hey,
So the first
you
person who
have
plays this gets to take all the medals, but will those medals actually do anything? Who knows? But they're free, so yes,
hey.
free medals. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I see 3 separate strategies with the card. The first strategy is the more obvious of the ones, is if you have the card at the beginning of the game, you play it, and you just swipe all the medals for 0 and hope you can re-roll it later. That's the first strategy. The second strategy is if you have none of the medals, and you want to screw with the person that decided to invest in all the metals with their dollar early. You play it, and then all of a sudden they have to sit there and roll until they get value on their metals again. That's the second strategy. The third one, of course, I feel like is more of a kind of in the middle between those two strategies, is where a few people have metals, there might be a few left and you want to swipe them. So you do that, and then everybody's trying to re-roll it so they get value back. I will say this, in our circle, what tends to be a trend is, since I have the closest birthday to February, so I usually get to go first, so I get the first opportunity at medals. And sometimes I draw some money right away, so then I oftentimes get most of the medals. What happens is I end up forgetting about the medals until I really start needing them. And it happens more frequently than not. Then once all the medals are purchased, nobody does anything with them because they don't want to generate advantage or disadvantage for themselves or the other players. So the way I see this card is, if everything costs 0, maybe the third strategy is swipe and then do nothing with the medals the rest of the game, and medals are just dead. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I kind of see the power in this card. It's very flexible, which I do like. This is one of the few cards we're going to talk about today that I'm not actually as scared of as Matthew probably is. I think this card has a really strong balance about it, where you're not going to completely get crippled by it. Even if I have all the medals and I get zeroed, I mean, rolling 3 of the same number on the medals, it happens more frequently than you would think. And it's not impossible because it only costs a carat to roll them. And I don't even know if medals are even valued the same unless you're getting to that point of the game where you start generating off gleefuls and stuff like that. I don't see this as the most powerful card, but I definitely think it's a flexible card. I would probably put it in a power ranking of like super supplies.
That's a pretty high ranking.
It is a high. I'm not saying it's the highest, but I think it's like tier 2.
Sure.
I think that's where it sits.
Not S tier, but it's A tier.
Yes.
Okay, I can agree with that. You mentioned it briefly. I'm not sure if you fully realized. This is a hard counter to the red gleeful and the pink gleeful.
Yes, it is.
Because with the red gleeful and medals, you can sell the medal and then buy the medal back with the gleeful dollar, and therefore essentially gain $3 or the $5 in the case of pink gleeful. If the medals aren't available, or if the medals are worth nothing, that strategy, that synergy is gone. There is no more synergy between red gleeful and pink gleeful with Dice Station 0 in play, and therefore you actually have to spend your money, and what good is that? I'd rather just pile it up and buy all the cards later.
I want to bring this up later, but remind me to bring up Skit Scenario when we talk about the next card.
I'll do that. Yeah, Skin Scenario synergizing with this too. It's like, oh yeah, you're forced to sell all your medals when they're at 0. Oh, there's also Goldie Stocks that was released in... What was it released in? Pumpkin Spice? Caramel? Pumpkin or caramel? Is it Creature? It might be Creature. It's got a yellow red stripe on it. That forces the opponent to sell all their medals. You know, the scenario where Chris talked about everyone else having medals and you having none, Dice Station 0 kind of becomes like a global surly smelter from the Conquest Red that makes your opponent discard all the medals. Just make them worthless instead.
I think that's the more common use of this card.
Right.
I don't think you're going to get the opportunity to play it on turn 1 that often.
No, I hope not.
Because turn 1, I think it feels good because then you can spend the rest of the game trying to get everything back. Because it's essentially, if you play it right, turn 1 you get it, you get all the medals, they're all worth 0, and you maybe midway through the entirety of the game you finally get it to value something. Then you're essentially, you know, if you get 5s or 6s, you're maybe $45 to $60 ahead because of that one card.
Sure.
Later. So I think there's some hidden investment there.
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah, hidden investments. I wasn't even thinking about it in that context. It sort of is. But yeah, I think it has to happen early for that to happen. If it happens anywhere mid to late, then there won't be enough rerolls to statistically get it, and it ends up just being a close the metals exchange, and there's no way it's opening again. There is no open the metals exchange when this happens because it's not physically closing it; it is making everything worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a card to watch out for. I'm a bit spooked of it because I don't like delay of game, and this is definitely a delay of game card. All right, moving on to one that I think spooks us the most, at least me and Chris. I'm saying a lot. The next card is S tier. I'm going to say it right now.
Don't invoke its name. Don't invoke its name.
The card's name. Chris is already experiencing PTSD, by the way. The card's name is Feckless Finances. And you can press F to pay respects after this card is played. You can concede. It's a aggressive run card.
It's a scoop.
It's an eliminate a player from the game card. That's not actually what it says, but it may as well.
That's what it says. I'm gonna buy my own copy of Take, and then I'm gonna Sharpie that in.
Yeah. It must read, "You must concede now." It is an aggressive run card.
No.
That may be given to any player whose finances, dollar and metal, become worthless. Lots of worthless money in this expansion, am I right? Until he rolls Heptomad, which is a pair of 7s. You have to roll a pair of 7s on any 2 dice during a single card consequence. So if you get this played on you, you better hope you have things like Super Supplies and Magic Fountain where you're rolling enough relevant dice. You better hope you have enough of those because rolling a pair of 7s is really difficult. Really difficult. So essentially, you might never be allowed to have money or metal for the rest of the game.
Well, you have them.
Well, you have them, but they're absolutely worthless. So you could trade them away. That's the one counter. Is in a large enough player counts, perhaps there's one more passive player who will be nice and be like, yeah, you can trade me your money and I'll buy the stuff for you and then I'll trade you the stuff. That sort of exchange. But that's logistically problematic since it has to happen on a specific turn. It's like, oh, you can't buy unless it's your turn. So all of a sudden, let's say Feckless is played on Mikey and Mikey really wants the orange pawn. Mikey would have to trade me the $5 during my turn. I have to buy the orange pawn. I give Mikey the orange pawn, and then he gets to use it a few turns later once it actually gets around to his turn. It's complicated. That's a hard counter.
I have so much to say. You're missing a point with that, Matthew. You're missing the fact that you're assuming that somebody's gonna say your money is equal to my value.
Exactly. It has to be a passive player.
It has because if it's me, I'll just say, well.
Did we lose Chris?
And your money is worse than $1 for $10.
I'm back now.
It's more. It's maybe 10 for 1.
10 for 1.
Worse.
I'm scared.
It might be.
You know,
I mean, really, what's it worth to the player?
Group dependent.
Let me know when it's my.
Yeah, it's all group dependent how this is actually going to play out. Chris, you're cutting in and out. We can hardly hear you, or at least I can't.
I'm having trouble too.
Okay, it sounds better now. Chris's opinion is too spicy. Facebook is canceling it.
I got it. We're here. We're fine.
Okay. What do you think, Mikey? Are you scared?
Well, obviously this would just be a horrible ending, or I mean, almost an ending to your game. I mean, like you said, it's a very small chance well, it's very difficult to roll a pair of sevens. Although I was thinking about the time when you and Frank and I played, and you were giving me all that money, and Frank played Bunny and Clyde and stole all my money from me. In some ways, that's similar to this, and it could be arguably, well, I don't know if it's necessarily better. For a while, I was thinking it was better because you have an opportunity. Actually, it is arguably better. This card being played on you is arguably better because if you break free of whatever, if you break free of this by rolling that pair of sevens, all that money and all the medals that you had before are still there. You get them all.
Mhm.
And you might have gained more during the time you were playing. Whereas if somebody plays Bunny and Clyde on you and you have like $120, that's gone. And unless you can figure out a way to steal it back. And yeah, you can generate more money, but what's the likelihood that you're going to be able to generate that $120 throughout the rest of the game when you could have been generating more?
Mhm.
So I think that this is, yeah, it's horrible. It sucks, but also it is better than other situations that you could be in.
Sure. I think it compares somewhat to Skint Scenario is the comparison I'd make more to than Bunny and Clyde. Because it's much
Mhm.
more of a permanent effect. Skint Scenario is the pink circle special that you give to an opponent where it requires them to spend their money as they draw it instantly. All money is spent
Mhm.
immediately in essence. So oftentimes
Mhm.
you have to spend your money on worthless things like cabbage and water, otherwise it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And it just feels bad. This card is much like that, where it's a permanent effect where your money is going to be worthless until some point. Skint Scenario money is relatively worthless until some point. Skint Scenario is normally easier to get rid of, though, in the sense that you just have to get rid of all your bunnies and then you're done. You can move on with your life. This card, you have to first find cards that roll many dice. Second of all, you have to find a way to play them. And third of all, you
Mhm.
have to actually roll the pair of sevens. Hopefully, you have some pawns or something that will help you re-roll, but you're not going to be able to buy pawns because you don't have money. Your money is worthless. So you can't play around it that way. You can't buy back the red timid bunny because you have no money. You can't you can't do any of that kind of thing, and you're just stuck there until you get the miraculous roll of a pair of sevens. Which it could happen early, and that'd be wonderful. Could never happen. And all of a sudden it's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's almost like all the shops are closed for me but open for everyone else. That doesn't seem very fair.
What you do then is you close all the shops.
There you go. Close the shop. We're getting into a close the shop meta. You play Feckless on me, I'm playing Dice Station Hill. Now no one has money. Sure, I can see it. I can see it. What else was I going to say? It also directly synergizes with Skin Scenario, which is really the scary thing. Where it's like, oh yeah, all your money is worthless, and now that it is, I'm going to play Skin Scenario on you so that you're forced to spend all of your worthless money, and all of a sudden you have no money. Oh, it's a it's a complicated bankruptcy that remains in permanent effect. So Chris is scared. This
I
this
have so
this,
much.
this
My
card
turn.
is
It's
absolutely
my
disgusting in two players. Chris's turn.
turn. Okay. I'm not going to talk about what it feels like to have this on you. It the pink circles, at least you feel like there's a way to get rid of them. This just goes in the discard. It becomes a retrieval target.
Well,
That's
no,
number one.
it'll stay in play. It's like a calcite situation, right?
Well, it's still a retrieval target. Second thing. I want you to think about the last time you played Magic Fountain. I want you to think about it. how many times, if you guess 7 is your number for Magic Count, how many times did you get a double? How many times?
How many times do you even get one?
How many times do you get one? Seriously? No. I'm serious. Because those are the specials that roll multiple dice are really your only out. You're not going to play around. I don't want the meta to be buy all the pawns so that you can have rerolls immediately. I don't want that. So when's the last time you got doubles on 7 when playing one of those? It does not happen. It does not. You think 2 7s would be easier, but it is not.
I should calculate the actual odds here sometime. I'm too lazy to do it right now. Somebody do it.
You have. I am considering this the most powerful card. It's at least in 2-player, maybe in 3. You have to have a save special. You have to.
Either that or someone has to play Orp.
That's true.
Or something similar.
But you have to roll. So if you have a Zodiac, you're done. Right? You don't get the Zodiac.
There aren't many outs.
No.
Very few outs. What happened? Hold on. I thought of something. So I was just thinking just to myself about 50-50 weapons. What about situations where a tie requires a reroll and the result didn't actually happen? How devastating emotionally would that be? Where it's like, somebody played a 50-50 weapon, me, I roll 2 7s, I'm like, yes, and then I realize, wait, no, that roll isn't actually applied. I don't get to keep that. Oh.
I think the serious players in the community Cake Batter is forever going to be the tilt booster. Because listen, every time you see a Cake Batter card set, you have to assume it's feckless. So you have to buy the pawns, and you have to trade for the very specials or the specials that roll multiple dice. You cannot win this game in 2-player or 3-player if you get this played on you. You can literally trade away all your money to the opponent to have them not place on you, and they still play it on you because having it on you is more valuable than the money. We're not even talking about a skid scenario. We're not doing it.
Yeah, you don't need it. It's not necessary.
I have played 3 games where this has been a live card.
No, 2.
Well, yeah, it felt like 3. I think this might be it. Can you imagine playing this and then retrievaling it and then playing it again?
Oof.
Ooh.
Can you imagine if your name starts with an F like Faith and you can get it off alliteration?
F might be unironically, F might jump extremely in the tier list for alliteration situation, and I don't think it's anywhere close right now.
It's close now.
What do you get currently on F? Can we name it?
Feckless is coming.
I know you get Feckless. What else you get? I can't think of anything offhand.
That's true.
Well, yeah, that's the point. That's my point. Is that Feckless by itself is enough.
There was a missed opportunity. I'm not going to point fingers, but Jonathan really dropped the ball on this one. And I say that very literally. There should have been a yellow ball with red stripe on the
That's Jeff's fault. That's Jeff's fault. It's wrong ID number.
Jonathan should have known it was going to be necessary.
The yellow ball was red stripe ended up on Y2K bug instead, which is not a relevant card. It should have been on this one.
That would have changed everything because at least you had a real out. You had a real out of owning the yellow ball.
Yep. I tend to agree.
Now listen. This is a play on a player. What if I think Atlas is the real counter here.
Sure.
I think Atlas is the real only counter. Because that's the only way you get out of this little scenario because your spot is now cursed. It's like a mad bunny disease that didn't ever go away.
Atlas is kind of a soft counter because when you play Atlas, yeah, you get to switch spots in a 2-player game, but you also might roll the pair of 7s at that instant, and then you don't actually want to switch anymore potentially. It's a soft counter. Although if you fail, Atlas and a larger player counts works very safely because it rolls anything that rolls a lot of dice. Bunny bowling, Atlas shrugged, play. I was about to say Swordfish Damocles, but you can't actually play that on yourself. Any card that rolls a bunch of dice that has a play on an opponent clause instead of on a player clause, very tilting after you're affected by this.
This is a lockout card, and all the lockout cards are dangerous. But when you get multiple ones stacked on each other, it becomes unplayable. I think there's a combo here that we're gonna discover later in another episode where you play these 5 cards, and your opponent is forever banned from the game.
Well, think about all the cards that. Hold on, what just happened? Think about all the cards that require $10 to get rid of them.
I know.
So
All of them.
let's play Ice 9 into Banter Margo, and then let's play Feckless Finances. And it's like, oh, all of the colored bunnies are banned, and you can't get rid of it. Good luck rolling the pair of 7s, because I'm also going to play other lockout cards where it's like, oh yeah, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this.
Dead Zone, Independent.
Did you want to play? Did you want to play this game?
Put a buffalo in play.
Put a buffalo in play. I think we're reaching there.
No, it's the dream. It's the dream.
Dream buffalo? Really? It's gross. I'm scared. This is the card I'm scared by.
I'm officially saying this is top 3.
Top 3!
Probably top 1.
Probably top 5 individual cards. I'll give you that.
It's top 2 individual cards.
Okay, what's the other one?
We're I don't know. I'd have to think.
You have to think about that one.
The Jarnac.
The Jarnac. Thank you, Mikey. We forgot to talk about the Jarnac with this card. And you know what a Jarnac situation is like? The player who has more money wins in a Jarnac situation. What if you can just make it so that your opponent doesn't have money first? Huh. You're not allowed to spend money. Let's play the Jarnac. I guess I win.
Oh my gosh. One of these, there should be a card, and it's just the player who plays this card can eliminate any other card from the game. May be used at any time.
How about tear a card in half?
But Mikey, Jeff has already made so many individual counters for other cards.
I think
Wheels
that
Center gets rid of Wheels. Isn't that good enough? Oh, Wheels. Oh, we didn't even talk about Wheels.
Oh yeah. The Feckless Finances plus Wheels Fresh's Center. Where all of a sudden, all your money's worthless? Sorry. I guess you don't have $2 to save each of your carrots. Oh, Feckless Finances plus bunny tax. Oh, sorry. I guess you don't have $2 to save each of your bunnies. Feckless Finances plus hecklers. Oh, sorry. You have to spend 5 carrots. Wow. I wasn't even thinking about combo. This is combo material here. Individually, amazing combo material. Oh no. We should move on.
That's why I said top 3.
Wait.
It's not combo.
It's up there. It's up there.
Combo.
Speaking.
Well, on the bright side, if you're playing
Nicholas,
Mystery Urn, on the bright side, you just put Dala in. It doesn't matter.
Well, Mystery Urn can't do Dala, unfortunately. But Poverty Poker, gamble your money. There you go.
I think
There we go.
Steel Lining is your only bet.
Oh, would Poverty Poker actually work? Hold on. With the metals, I would think it would.
6s and 7s.
Because if your money is quote unquote worthless, what does that actually mean? Can you gamble it?
Sure you can.
Poverty Poker maybe. I think Wheels Special Center and Bunny Text things like that. I think it can safely say, hey, this is not $2. But can you say I'm going to gamble $2? Oh, I have $2. Do you actually have $2?
You have it, but it has a constant of 0.
I don't know.
It's the whole currencies getting inflated argument with no gold behind it.
Is it like Confederate money? You know, it's
Yes.
$2,
Yes.
but it's actually not worth anything.
But
But you could bet the money. I don't know.
could you though? Is it the
Are we still
same?
calling?
Because
Are we still calling
Poppy
Cabal-
Poker would be amount of units, not actual cards. So
Yes.
with the
Are we
medals,
still
I could
talking-
see it.
We're still separating Kabbalah dollar from coin sterlings and Kinder dollars and
No,
Go, right?
that's all equivalent.
but maybe it's time to separate it.
Maybe it's time to separate. Yes, you can use dough. No.
No,
No, I don't think so.
international currency is international.
Oh no. This is a card. Long story short. Watch out.
I'm scared.
Fake batter will change things. I was talking with Chris that maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to go back into the pawn meta and rush pawns, just so we can get the rerolls, just in case Feckless is played, just in case, because pawns are good, but metals is just better. But all of a sudden we have 2 hard counters to metals, and it's like, oh no, are metals still good? Is 2
You know what's
counters
better than-
enough?
You know what's better than dollar and I gave it away. What's better than metals and pawns is dollar.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if 2 more pawn recalls were printed. Would you buy pawns?
No.
I wouldn't think so. So now all of a sudden we got 2 cards better than Surly Smeltery, which is a very good card from Conquest Red. Even got Reverse Power Crept and Conquest Violent got a weaker version of it. All of a sudden we have 2 more of those. And it's like, am I buying medals? Probably.
No.
Am I going to hold on to them? Absolutely not. I got to spend this money. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Nothing is safe anymore.
Nothing is safe. Metals are no longer the obvious pick, which is probably good. It's about time. Alright. Now we're getting into the next card, which is the card that I think Chris and I are most excited about.
No, we should talk about the other one. The other one first.
It's in the wrong order. It's in the wrong order because it's in order of card ID. The card is Path to Perfection, a non-aggressive run card, which may be used once by a player who has at least 1 saved carrot with a number that is a perfect square, cube, or pentaract, which includes about 10 carrots in the game. 12 carrots once they're all officially released, all 100 numbers. That player who has that carrot, which is a relatively easy requirement, right? Just get a specific carrot. Easy. Just buy Tucker. Okay. Job's done. Requirement does not matter. Okay. Moving on. What do they get to do? They get to immediately play, save, or discard all of their remaining cards. Cool change, eat your heart out. This one is not only do you get to cycle, but you get to play all the cards. Amazing! And it doesn't have a yellow ball with red stripe, unlike Cool Change. Power creep? I guess so. What do you think, Mikey?
Well, I think that this is a pretty fancy little card right here. I would definitely enjoy having this. Especially if you have one of those hands where you just have like all you got is weapons or useless cards. It's like, hey, ooh, imagine just bombarding somebody. If you had a handful of weapons and there was somebody who had a lot of defense cards, or just somebody who you just wanted to destroy, you just put all the weapons on them at once.
Right?
How amazing!
Yeah, here's a fun trick. Just going off of that briefly. since this is not aggressive, that kind of reminds you of W for Whammy from was it Khaki? Is it from Khaki or is it from Onyx? I don't know. One of those.
Onyx.
Where it's an aggressive card that lets you play all the weapons from your hand. Amazing. Good card. Sort of. Not actually. But Path to Perfection is non-aggressive, and you will need a bunny. But if you have the bunny in your hand, just spend $10 and buy a bunny, lol. You could just play the bunny first and then play all the weapons, because of course you can choose which order you play them. So don't think about this as non-aggressive. This card will let you play all those cards, even if they're aggressive, just because you could have a bunny pretty easily in your hand. That's an easy requirement. Done. Anyways, continue your thought, Mikey.
One question I had is, can you give this to another player?
You could trade it.
Can you play it? But you can't play it on someone?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Because I thought that would be, when I misread it when I first read it, and I thought you played it on another player, and I thought, well, in some ways, that can be
extreme passive.
Yes, but also I thought, for some reason I thought it could be bad for the other player, but now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't.
Well, sure,
know how
because if they had, say, a double no trouble in their hand that they were trying to save for the end of the game, then sure, because it doesn't let you. You have to do all of your remaining cards, so maybe that's the one downside, is that you don't get to save any cards for later, unless of course they're specials. Any of the run cards that you're like, hey, I want to play all these cards. Well, I'm either gonna have to play or discard. I can't choose to keep it in my hand. So I suppose that's one quote unquote weakness, is if my cards are too good and I want to save them for later, I'm not able to do so. Poor me.
The other thought I had, here's another, this is a very minor weakness as well, but what if you have a great hand? You play all your cards and then you draw more and you get a really crappy hand.
Right.
And then you're stuck with that, and you get all these cards that you don't want that could have been spread out amongst the group.
Sure. Yeah, spread out the value. This aggressive play could be counteracted.
Justice demands retribution.
Exactly. That's a fair point.
So, but it's a good card.
What do you think, Chris? Without getting into the combo yet.
I'm not going to go into the combo. That's your job.
That's my job.
My thought with Mikey's talking about playing it on the opponent, I just thought this has increased the value of Platinum Rosebud so much.
Same with
Can you
Feckless.
imagine playing Path to Perfection, but then your opponent magically knew it was going to be Path Perfection? So they played their Rosebud on it, and now they control your entire hand.
So what?
And you have to play it all?
That sounds like mass incriminating photos.
That's just about the best thing you could do as an opponent.
So what you're saying is, if you have Platinum Rosebud, save it for a Cake Batter card, because you could either hit Feckless or Path.
Feckless too. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Because Feckless is a player clause. You could make a person Feckless themselves. It's not an opponent clause.
I think Platinum went up a tier.
Platinum and maybe even the card from Creature Feature. What is it called? The one that you replace their top run card with the card from your hand. Vile Reptile. The Reptile. Yes. Reptile.
You get to steal Path or Feckless.
Top run rotate.
And put it in your hand. Yes. All those cards you are immediately doing on Cake. There is no other play. There is there is not. There is not another card you will choose to do it on except for Cake.
Sure.
And maybe still Chocolate.
Chocolate? I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, if you're scared of Atlas, I guess. But yeah, larger player counts, you're not.
I think you're playing on Cake. You're gonna watch your opponent every single time they draw a Cake, and you're gonna see their eyes glimmer when they draw Path.
And then
Perfection. I was gonna make an analogy for the sake of Mikey. Mikey is getting married soon. We all know this. And there's gonna be a moment where he gets hooray! But there's gonna be a moment. There's gonna be a moment for Mikey when he sees his bride for the first time. And that is legend. That's That's the really great moment for the guy, right? Right. Hopefully.
I hope so.
But when you draw Path to Perfection for the first time, there is no greater Killer Bunny moment. There is not.
There you
It is
go.
almost a mirror image of the groom looking upon the bride for the first time. It is. There is no other thing to look forward to. You play the game for Path to Perfection. That's it. That's the game.
And that's before we consider the combo. But go ahead and say what you were going to say, Mikey.
Oh, I was like, well, this is a this is. I should bring this for Sunday school. You know, you teach little kids like when you play this game and you pick up this card, the thought of or the feelings that you have. That's what Jesus thinks when he looks at you, just like your bride did.
There you go.
I think this is one of the few cards in the game that's baptized. I believe that this is the sacrament. I believe Path to Perfection is holy.
It's almost like it's called Path to Perfection.
There are so many uses for this. The worst case, absolute worst case for Path to Perfection
It's cool change.
is
Without
it's strictly cool change without the benefit. Yes.
without the yellow ball.
Yes. It's a strict discard your hand, draw 5 new cards. 6 cards because you play it as a run.
Yep.
It's draw 6.
Yep.
That's the absolute worst case if you have no synergy with it. If you just discard a bunch of weapons while your opponents have no bunnies, or whatever, get rid of all the useless carousel garbage cards.
Has to be all of them. That's the one downside, but compared to cool change, it has to be all of them.
Absolute worst case. The upside, it's essentially you get to rank out 5 cards all at the same time.
And you get a free triplet.
And you get a free triplet for 1 turn.
And if you already have a triplet and you play this as your first card, out of the next 7 cards you draw, you'll get to set one, and then that'll be your triplet card.
There is no greater swing card. There is no greater swing card. And there probably isn't a greater combo card. Although you can make the argument for, infinite attempts, loops, and...
Well, we haven't talked combo yet. They don't know yet. They don't know.
I know. We're not talking about it. But you realize this is, at bare minimum, a rank out 6 useless cards.
Yes.
And draw. Mikey, I hope that you look upon your bride the same way I look upon Path to Perfection.
I hope I look at my bride in a better way than you look at Path to Perfection.
That's high standards.
If you achieve it, you will be set for life.
So now that we're amazed by this card,
I've hyped it up enough.
We've hyped it up enough. Now, we did not come anywhere close to hyping this up enough. Believe it or not. Because due to mechanics of cards that draw cards, like Lemon Squeezy, Wheels Chocolates, buying back weapons and bunnies, any of that nonsense, due to those mechanics, all of them have their discard clause is a discard by the end of the turn clause. So therefore, your hand might be bigger than 5 cards. It might be significantly bigger than 5 cards. Let's say you have Lemon Squeezy and 2 yellow pawns and you draw 36 cards. Would you rather play 6 cards or 42 cards?
It could be more than that if you have more yellow pawns.
It could be. Almond Crisp is coming out. You can get 4 yellow pawns. All of a sudden, you're drawing how many cards? 48.
Plus, you can paintball.
No, excuse me, not 48. 60 cards is what you're drawing, which means
you can get a 5th yellow pawn.
A fifth? No, that's a bit excessive.
And then you can clone them. You can clone.
Sure. Okay. So
You get 6 of them.
you could just get another lemon squeezy. Okay, so you get 6 yellow pawns, and you get 2,
7 if you retrieve them.
and you get and you get 2 lemon squeezies. So you're playing 14 lemons at 12 cards each. How many cards are we drawing? Over 150. Oh,
168. Is that right? No.
that something like that.
It's 100.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. 168 cards, which means we're playing 174 cards in one turn. There are no more turns. That is the final turn. You win. It's over. We're done. If you cannot end the game after playing 178 cards, in which those cards
68.
they're 106, no, 174 plus the 6. If you cannot end the game after you've played 174 cards, in which some of those cards might be cards that draw more cards, which means you're playing even more than 174. And some of those, and you can play those cards in the exact order that you choose. So you could play your much wars and your weakest links first, and then play all of your choose a carrots. You win. Your opponents have no bunnies. You've stolen all their carrots. You've purchased the remaining carrots. What's left? And after all of that nonsense, you get to draw 7 more cards and probably complete your turn with a triplet and a rank. Because that's certainly you have a triplet and a rank at that point. Oh, by the way, this combo is actually better if you do not have a bunny when you start it. Because
you're gonna draw a bunny.
Because you're guaranteed to draw a bunny. That's 100% guaranteed. Okay, pretty much. If you don't draw one, you can just buy one for 10, which you're guaranteed to have $10 at that point, unless you have feckless. But where was I going with that? If you do not have a bunny when you start this, all the misfortunes will happen first. So all the misfortunes go on the opponent after you've drawn 174 cards. And then you get to play your bunny and do all of your other nonsense. Be like, choose a carrot, choose a carrot, choose a carrot, bunny bowl, and choose a carrot, choose a carrot, choose a carrot. Double no trouble, half price coupon, game over, Timmy Tellos. What do you do?
And then you get to replay it with 2 cans.
Well, what's the point at that point? The game's over.
And then you get to redo your turn.
Game's over.
When you play Baker Street and take another turn.
It's over. There's nothing left. When you accomplish the perfect combo, we'll call it Full Absolution. That is the name that Chris has coined for the combo. Full Absolution. You win the game. You have gained hundreds of tempo. That's insane. A triplet gives you +1 tempo. A rank gives you +1 in tempo per turn. Trips gives you +1 tempo per turn per triplet. Path to Perfection, 100 tempo in one turn. Amazing. What do you do? What's the counter? Better have a Platinum Rosebud saved up so you can make sure to play it on any Cake Batter card that comes up.
Steal the lemon squeezies.
Yeah, buy all the yellow pawn. Another reason we're going into a pawn meta. Buy the yellow pawns.
And the whites and the pawn clonings and all
Right.
the garbage.
Buy all 4 of them. And then hope they don't get the alternative combo with Ice 9 Wheels Chocolates to draw 24, or Bakery Rolls plus Retrieval to draw another 24, or any of that nonsense. Hope that doesn't happen, because that's already good enough. Lemon Squeezy is just the easy pick because the pawn's already there to support it.
You don't even have to have both lemons. You can just get one and then draw the second one.
Right, just get one. You should start with one. 60 cards is already enough. I did a simulation on how much value is in 60 cards, and it was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting.
Every time.
Every time. Absolutely revolting how much value is in 60 cards. Imagine taking 60 turns. What do you do? 60 turns, that's a full
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Get 60 turns in a whole game.
That's a whole game. If you're not playing with full carrot count, you just got the rest of the carrots. It's gone. It's done. You got all the carrots. Job's done. Okay. This is, I suppose that makes this Tippy Tellos, but non-conditional.
It's really sexy Tibitellos.
Yeah. Non-aggressive. I don't think Jeff intended that mechanic, but here we are. I think Jeff intended this to essentially just be power creep on cool change. He wouldn't call it power creep probably, but that's what it is. Power creep on cool change. But no, it's so much more. So much more. Speaking of which, you better hope you actually end the game, otherwise your opponent's going to play much more on you.
Or you could draw much more and play much more as your first card.
That's right. It could happen. Anything could happen. There's still comebacks after Path to Perfection, assuming the game doesn't end, which it likely will if you have enough card draw. So, watch out. It's coming. We're only a month away. A month from perfection. We are a month from perfection. The first player to get the combo, send us a message and tell us how it went. 'Cause we gotta know.
If you get it, record it. Take a video recording. If you realize what you have, take your phone out and record it. I
Yeah.
want to see it.
Yes, this is legitimately trumping Ice 9 in terms of combo potential.
Oh, it kills it.
I mean, so how often is it going to happen? That's a fair question. How often does Ice 9 combo happen? How often do you get Ice 9 Super Supplies, or Ice 9 Incredible Fountain, or Ice 9 Orb, or Ice 9 Mystery? How often does that happen? That's how often Path to Perfection will happen, except it does not have a yellow ball with red stripes, so it will happen more often. There you go. That's,
Platinum Rosebud, I need you.
you gotta save those top run disruption cards. Save up your
Take.
save up your hand disruption, save up your all that stuff. You have to be scared. The cake batter cards are scary. We have seen 3 scary ones so far. If your opponent has a cake batter card that they've been holding in their hand for the longest time, you better play a Scarlet Letter on them. You better play Run Amok on them. You better hope they don't have a rank and can play it from the hand, otherwise you gotta find a hand disruption. Play a Secret Squid on them. There's plenty of hand disruption out there. It's about time the community learned how to use it, because it's important. Now is the time of reckoning. Learn how to hand disrupt or you fall very behind.
Why do I feel like everybody's just gonna use it to get rid of the very specials from their hand?
You-
Oh no!
You can save Tube Delay. It's gonna happen.
I don't want to think about that.
Somebody's gonna do it. It's
Did I mention you can retrieval Path to Perfection?
you could if you really wanted to.
Is it a movie reference?
Although, yeah, you could retrieve a Path to Perfection because all the other cards would be played first, and then this one would
Yeah.
resolve after all of those. So yeah, it's a scary card to play in that sense. If you,
Can
play,
play a 60-card Path to Perfection and then retrieval it early.
imagine your opponent playing retrieval. I mean, your opponent playing Path to Perfection, and you're sitting on retrieval lemon squeezy, and you're like, "Oh, I win!"
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good strategy. I like it. Oh, you don't even need to draw it, I guess. You can just draw retrieval. Lol. Add P to the list of letters that are strong. Although I think P actually already had some good things, right? All right, in saying that, I'm arbitrarily thinking that procession, does that count? That doesn't count, right?
No.
No, there's something I'm not thinking of. Pawn Recall, Pawn Star. There you go. There's some good cards. I'm sure there's more. I think there's more in F2. I just can't think of it right now. But alliteration situation, Path to Perfection. Wow, amazing. Is that a movie reference? I don't think so. Is it? Does anyone know? Can we find out?
It kind of looks like it is.
I want to know. We must find out if it's a movie reference, because if it
I think
is,
that's good.
we have a new target for bunnies on film from Conquest Red. And that's scary, although an inexperienced player might play bunnies on film and then realize, oh wait, that is yellow bullets, red stripe. Now my opponent controls my path to perfection. Oh.
Well, there's a book called The Path to Perfection, an edited anthology of spiritual teachings of, and then I lost the rest of it.
I'm guessing that's not what
It's writ-
I'm guessing that's not the reference here. But you never know.
It's looked like it's a Islamic reference.
Oh,
Probably not.
probably not. Probably not. You know, I'd be surprised. But it almost looks like a movie reference, doesn't it? You have to
I think-
wonder. Have to wonder. We'll find out someday. We're not in charge of.
Torval and Dean, Path to Perfection World Ice Dancing Championships. I don't think that's it either.
We're
You
not
can
the.
get it on VHS though.
There you go. Well, that counts, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. We'll have to. Well, Glenn's the guy who finds all the references, so we'll talk to Glenn. Be like, hey,
There's the other counter we didn't talk about. We talked about hand disruption. We didn't talk about hand revealing.
that too.
I didn't.
Matahari is the obvious choice, but in any group that doesn't apply Jeff's philosophy, things like Bruni's Geneva Convention, that's the word I was looking for. Things like Geneva Convention that make your opponent discard all of something from their hand doesn't have to be Path to Perfection, because after they do that, we consider you to have permission to look at their hand to make sure that they actually discard all the weapons. You know, I think that's fair. Most games do that. Jeff disagrees, but that's okay. As for me in my house, you know.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not. That's every other
It's it's a common courtesy thing. If you do not reveal your hand, which is going to target you more, right? Because then we'll assume the worst. If you reveal your hand, you'll be like, oh yeah, I had a super supplies. They're like, oh yeah, that's probably fine. But if you don't reveal your hand, we're going to assume that you have Path to Perfection.
Even if you don't have a cake batter card.
Yeah, we'll assume it. You gotta have something. There's something high in there. It's Secrets Are Lies passive strategy, except applied forcefully by threats of punishment, essentially. But yes, that's also a good way to. Hand tracking is important there. If you find out that the opponent has Path to Perfection hand, you better watch that card. Keep an eye on it. If you lose track, you're in trouble.
Huh.
All right. We have one more card to talk about today. And it's a spicy card, but it will never
Oof.
see play in our group. It is Martinet Maven, a very special that's aggressive. It's an interesting one. It reads, maybe use one Spire player to force the first opponent to reference the Killer Bunnies rulebooks or bunny bits, to immediately discard all of his bunnies in the bunny circle. Wow. So in our group, nobody actually references the rulebooks or the bunny bits because it's all memorized. So it will not affect us, and this card will be cycled every time. But other groups that actually don't know the rules perfectly and need to reference it every once in a while, you know, what on earth does an atomic pastry do? We'll find out next episode.
What does the underground do?
What does the underground do? Absolutely nothing, but they gotta look it up. You know, things like that. We're punishing players that want to look it up. Who's going to look it up? You know, if you're in that group and somebody says, what does the underground do? Do they actually not know, or are they holding Martinet Maven in their hand and they're trying to get rid of all your bunnies? Who knows? It's scary. What do you think, Mikey?
I don't like it. I don't like that. Well, I don't like it for 2 reasons. The first one, it encourages house, which, I mean, if everybody agrees to a house rule beforehand, that's fine. But I'm generally a purist for most everything. and I just think that it should be played the way that it was written. But some people might not care about that. They don't care. They play their house rules, and that's fine. I mean, we technically play with somewhat of a house rule where we just take from the top of the carrot deck instead of pick our own. I mean,
If it's
yeah,
non-enforced, it's not a house rule.
I suppose. But the second thing is you mentioned this just a few moments ago is it punishes people for looking at the rules. And so if you're a new Killer Bunnies player and for some reason you're playing full set or maybe you're new to full set and you just want to learn about how the game works and you want to know how to play it correctly instead of just guessing on things, there's always this fear, especially if somebody has a cake batter card in their hand that they're gonna play this card on you. And maybe you don't know it's from cake batter, but you just know that there's a card that does this. Do you want to take that risk? If you're a new player trying to figure out how the game works and you have maybe only one bunny or maybe you have a lot of bunnies, you don't want to worry about losing it, but you also want to know how to play the game correctly. So I suppose the counter to that would just be play the game incorrectly and then look it up afterwards. But still, I mean, it's I don't like that. I don't like that seemingly punishes people who want to know how the game works.
I suppose the counter argument is thankfully most people don't actually read the rule books and they just ask the Facebook group instead. Which is fair. That's probably quicker. So,
True.
aha, I solved it. What do you think, Chris?
It reminds me of a game,
Oh no.
a card game that I don't even think it has a name. I think
It's
that's the problem.
Mao.
Mao. Those that know what Mao is understand my reference. Mao is a card game where you're not allowed to tell anyone the rules. You are supposed to learn the rules by playing the game the first time, and therefore following other people's examples on how the rules work. And if you ask or break any of the unknown rules, then you get penalized throughout the game. And because when you first learn, you don't know how to play, so you obviously get punished and you get beat up on the first game because you broke a lot of the rules by asking what the rules are, or doing this or doing that, and it's no fun. You just sit there and get punished. And I think this card is in the same category. I think it's a card that punishes the want to actually understand the game, like Mikey said, but it also kind of discourages good gameplay where everybody knows what's up. I think if you were to play this on a new player and say, haha, if they didn't understand a card and wanted to look at the rules, then they get really discouraged. I think this is going to chase a lot of people away from the game if it's played on them with ill will or too early in their bunny's career.
Reminds me of when remember the first full set game you played, Mikey? So I had the conch saved and Isaac walked out of the room and I asked Bill and Mikey, should I play this? I said I wouldn't, but should I play this just as an example of how toxic it can be? And I did. And they sat quietly while Isaac walked in the room and started having a conversation with me. And all of a sudden, because he didn't know, he lost 20 turns in all of his positions. And it's like, oh. And what was the result? Chased him away from full set. It's
that was also the game with the Jarnak.
Yes, the Jarnak came into play like 2 turns later, and all of a sudden, Mikey and I couldn't target each other. I had a bunch of stuff, and Bill lost everything, and Isaac couldn't play the game. So it's like, oh, I guess I win. So it's like that, where you're punishing a player very severely for not being familiar with a specific thing, with a specific card that arguably shouldn't exist. The conscious.
And then if you, it's you. Sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
it's fine.
it's not a card that should be played on new players, and it's a card that can't be played on experienced players. So it's a
Right.
worthless card.
Exactly. If anyone asks you to reference the rule book specifically rather than just asking the rule, you're immediately suspicious of it. And what's going to happen in that scenario? Are they going to accept your ruling without looking up the rule books? I think back to the Dark Ages, where I was playing with Maddie and Luke, and I'd be like, hey, this is the rule. And they'd be like, no, I don't like that. What happens when that's done purposefully? Where it's like, I'll say, hey, this is the rule. And someone in the group who has Martinet Maeve in their hands, like, no, you're going to have to prove that to me. What happens? Am I able to enforce the rules without referencing the rules in that situation?
Not really.
No, that person's kicked out of the group. That's what happens. Yes. That person is kicked out of the group for trying something so sinister. No, you're done. You're not winning this game. No, what I would do, here's what I would do in that situation. Here's the advice I'll give to all the experienced players who know what I'm talking about. If anyone tries to pull that trick on you, let them get away with it and let them have their joy. And then show them how a real player plays and eliminate them from the game. Just show them. Just show them how it works. I think about when Lucas and Luke were playing a 3-player game with me, still Dark Ages relatively. And I made a trade agreement with Lucas that I traded him the Forever Cabbage on the agreement that if either of us got maggots played on us, we would trade it back, so we would just constantly have Forever Cabbage. It was a nice agreement, a fair agreement. And Lucas and Luke decided, no, they're going to team up. And they're going to play maggots on me and completely break that agreement. I was like, okay. So then I started playing full cutthroat. And 6 rounds later, they both conceded. It wasn't fair anymore. That's why I suggest you do to anyone who tries to do that sort of strategy on you. Anyone who actually tries to play Martinet Maven sinisterly, where you're trying to force an opponent to reference the rulebook or you're going to break the rules, you deserve it. Saying that right now, don't try it. I will punish you. I will find you. I will come to your group and show you how Killer Bunnies is played. But if you want, I'm not saying this card shouldn't be played. If this card is played in completely natural circumstances where a person is just referencing the rules on their own because they're not quite sure, go ahead. It's a very mean play, very aggressive, but I think that's acceptable. But don't try to break the rules with this card.
But that's how everybody's going to do it.
It's like in Chris. It's like in Cheers Monopoly when you have the chance card that says you don't have to take the punishments, and that could be interpreted as you get away with the cheat. You just steal all of the opponent's money and then be like, "Oh, you're going to try to call me out on it? No, now you get punished instead. I'm going to keep your money." Terrible interpretation. Terrible rulebook, such that it can be interpreted as such, but it's like that. That situation exactly.
I just don't like the games that create bad strategies that cause cancer.
Yeah.
Mao is a terrible game.
Yes.
I played it and I understood the rules. I didn't want to follow the rules because I thought it was a terrible concept. So I purposefully lost. And this card makes me want to, like, when is this card ever? What strategy is there? Haha, I tricked you with the rules. Haha. Aha, I made you look up something because you are stupid. Haha.
I just thought of the counter to Mao, and in Mao you get to make up your own rules as you go later. Just make up a rule that after you play a certain card, you're forced to concede and leave the game. Doesn't actually work, but if your name is Chris, you have to draw a card every turn. Otherwise, you have to draw a card. What?
Oh,
yeah, the game is fundamentally broken. Oh, okay.
I've never understood the people that want to add rules to something that already has rules.
They like to play gotcha. I just had a remembering of a certain YouTube video. It's Bill Clinton quoting, "Oh, you want to play Gotcha?" And it's this YouTuber being like, "Oh, I thought you said you wanted to play the board game Gotcha." And it's like a comedy. I'll have to send it afterwards. It's funny. It's not political or anything. It's just pure comedy. But yeah,
The
it's
good news,
essentially
Matt,
that. You just want to play Gotcha. You're just like, hey, haha, I tricked you.
the good news, Matt, is you can get this back with alliteration.
Yeah, I can get back with alliteration.
Mikey can too.
Great. I don't want to. Like I said, this card has
And it's a
never
movie
seen
reference,
play.
so you can get it back again.
This card has never seen play in our group. It's because we all know it exists. And none of us reference the rule books naturally, so it's not going to be played. It's that simple. This-
Ooh, I thought of one scenario where it would be somewhat acceptable for someone to play this. If you have two unexperienced players who are both at about the exact same level, who are both looking at things in the rulebook, if one of them played it on the other, I feel like that would be somewhat socially acceptable.
Sure, I can see that.
Mhm.
That makes sense. I just had a thought and I lost it. Ah, yes. Here's a way to play around it. Just reference the QCC. There
Hey!
you go! You can reference the rulebooks without referencing the rulebooks. Hooray! So thank you, Glenn, for preemptively solving this problem.
You know, I think saving tube delay is actually a better strategy than just cycling this or playing this.
Saving tube delay.
Yeah, there's more merit in it.
There's more. That's fair. You know that's what it comes down to is if you play this card, are you actually winning that game?
You're kind of a sleaze
I don't
bag.
think so. People punish sleaze bags. If you save tube delay, it's a meme, and the player who memes more usually wins. It's true, every time.
And even if you're in an aggressive meta, I think this is actually the worst type of aggressive.
Yeah, you get punished the most.
Hmm.
It's just a bad strategy. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's not actually a strong card. It's just a trap. It's too strong.
Mhm.
There you go. That's what it comes down to. It's like feckless. Oh.
It could be a good passive card.
Can't
You
play it
could
on yourself.
Oh,
I trade it to my opponent so that they can play it on me. There you go.
you start talking about the rules and how you love the rules.
Oh boy.
Maybe third paragraph will counter or two.
Oh
Maybe.
no. That card's not getting printed.
Well, this one did.
It is. This is the card. Okay. Anyways, that's the last card for today. There's a reason I only put 4 cards on today because we ended up with an hour and 20 minutes with those 4
Oof,
cards.
That's
Next,
a lot longer than our previous one.
that's a bit long. That's longer than the booster reviews. You know, that's going back to what we're used to before booster reviews with actual topics rather than just
It's
like,
when we
I
used to
like
talk
this
about
card.
Ben's pick.
This is my insta ban for anyone who's wondering. It's not feckless. Chris might ban feckless. We'll see. That's a long ways away. Well, I think-
Maybe I'll change my mind when I draw it for once.
There you go. Huh. I like this card when I get to play it. That's Mikey stress.
Yeah.
This card is nice when I draw it, but I don't like it having played on me. Mikey's logic for any card that he likes, if it's not theme related. So yeah, next episode, I believe we will be having Jeff and Jonathan on. Mikey will be missing, unfortunately, that day.
Yeah.
He's gonna go celebrate his birthday. Very thoughtless.
I have no idea where I'm going.
No,
So
no,
if
Mike.
I don't come back,
Mikey's
I'm
getting
dead.
Mikey's getting kidnapped for his birthday. I don't know what's going on. Is it your 21st?
22nd.
22nd. There you go. That's right. I realized that as soon as I asked.
Yeah.
So instead, we will
22nd.
have an honorary co-host, not Chris. Surprise! I told him today. We're recording in like 3 days, so short notice.
It's
Haha.
Luke. It's Luke, isn't it?
Not Luke. Scott. We will have Scott, Jeff, and Jonathan. It's like having 3 guests, and we will be discussing
Mhm.
the fundamental mechanics of cake batter. So all of the not so scary stuff. Although I'm a bit scared of Cathexis bunnies, honestly. This is a scary expansion. Send help. I don't think they're actually gonna be relevant, but they're more relevant than British bunnies. So watch for that, I suppose.
Woohoo.
Aha. As far as other announcements, apparently there's memes on the YouTube channel now. That's a thing I started because I was bored. True. I don't know how long those will continue, but they're there. Apparently they're really spicy hot, according to Scott. So there you go.
Woohoo.
Check those out if you like memes, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I had another announcement, but I lost it. What was it? Chris, prophecy strats,
No
what was
idea.
it? We lost Chris. He's got nothing. False prophet. Oh well. Anything you like to say, Mikey?
Fishy, why are you sleeping?
Hey!
What?
Hey, he's alive.
Hey!
Hi.
Did I miss anything?
No invitational tournaments.
Not yet. Cake Batter coming out in a month. Oh, I thought of it. It wasn't the thing I was trying to think of, but I thought of something I missed. Aha. There is an alternative art or a high definition art starter set coming out sometime. That's exciting. More news on that at some point. Who knows?
But it's not canon though.
It's a starter set's getting reprinted with upgraded art from Jonathan. The art looks quite
Ooh.
good. I don't know if I don't think I'll put in my full set, but I definitely am getting a alternative art starter set. But yeah, watch out for that one too. It'll also be cheaper. So if you think about buying a starter set, I don't know how long it'll take, but if it's soon, then it's probably worth waiting. I don't know.
Whoa.
We'll see. Okay, go ahead, Mikey.
Hope everybody's doing good and staying safe and not doing drugs. So, have a good couple weeks. I will not speak to you again for a while. So, Jeff bless.
Jeff bless.